Hello everyone and welcome to my research and practice portfolio presentation. In this presentation I'm going to share with you my teaching experience in reference with what I have learned in the past 1.5 years from my Masters in Education program. Being a part of young generation who has seen the change and development in the world of technology, I can say that there are a lot of things that should be considered when educating our children. Actually, many of the things that we discussed and studied during the past 1.5 years is more or less part of our daily teaching experience, but we learn to give meaning to that experience through the knowledge we gained with the help of different courses. Now, before we start discussing the artifacts, let's have a look at what a portfolio actually is. So, according to Birgin and Baki, it is a purposeful collection of students' work that exhibits the efforts, progress, achievement in one or more areas. So the collection must include the participation in selecting content, criteria for selection, criteria for judging merit, evidence of student self-reflection. So actually, in my opinion, it is our daily life professional and or personal experience that we write down so that we, when the time comes, we can reflect on that and measure our improvement. So the topics have been divided based on the rubric provided. So first we will be discussing the interconnectedness of the topic. So we will go through different type of topics I have selected to be discussed. Then I will focus on general teaching philosophies along with my views in this regard. So we will be discussing different type of philosophies and how we can modernize them based on what is going on around the world. Then I will discuss my role in all the portfolio and how it is helping me, what is required, and lastly, of course, we will discuss the challenges I faced during the portfolio writing. So moving forward, let's see how these things are interconnected. So being a teacher for not too many long years, I don't have experience in deep areas, but belonging to the age of technology, I can say that there is a high demand in the way we think, we teach, and we assess our students. So to that reason, I have decided to mainly focus on the topics including my teaching philosophy or educational philosophy, methods, techniques towards that can help the teacher and has helped me to manage my classroom, different methods that can be used to check the understanding level of students and the teachers too, of course, instead of always using the traditional methods. So how we can access them, how we can check their knowledge. In the end, I will be focusing on the most important agenda of the century actually, which is the role of technology in education. Here I will mainly discuss or mainly focus on why the technology is important. Of course, we all know this, but how we can develop it, how we can teach our students, our parents, our staff in the useful management of technology that can help in the development of the country in the long run. So when obstacles to the learning and engagement are identified and reduced, many difficulties faced by the students in the school can be counteracted or removed. For Booth and Ainscourt in 2012, they said that facilities, cultures, policies, curriculum, teaching method, seating arrangement, and form of interaction are some examples of barrier that may hamper any student's school life, not just those with some sort of disability, global delay in development, high skills, or talent. So due to that reasons, I have selected these 4 artifacts, these 4 main topics. Of course, we will be further opening them. So first of all, let's have a look at the general education philosophy along with my own educational philosophy. So I would consider myself as a progressivist teacher. In a progressivist environment, on the other hand, a wide range of learning opportunities are used to meet each student's academic and social objectives. So child-centeredness, a corner of inclusive education, facilitates free play and promotes creativity by providing opportunity for children to respond to an ever-changing environment. John Dewey, who is considered to be the father of the modern education movement and inventor of learning by doing, argued for a child-centered democratic teaching in which students took an active role in their education. Dewey also advocated for the educational ideas that children learn best through doing, and proposed that education should incubate through the society's encouragement of the students' interest. Now, I will define learning as to know something especially by doing it. And as a science teacher, I really prefer activity based learning. Students must learn to perform experiments in order to learn by themselves. As by doing the experiments themselves, they will gain experience, and that is where they will learn what is wrong or what is right. And that is what we do in progressivism and also in constructivism. So if you look at constructivism, it believes that people build on what they already learned. So it also emphasizes people learn skills and knowledge by interacting in their environment and with one another, as Young said in 2012. But it also believes that a person's learning takes place inside the mind, and that learning is the learner's own reality and may differ due to his or her belief and mindset. But the learning that takes place inside the person's mind is affected by the environment. So environment is really important in this very case. It can be said that constructivism also supports the quote. Constructivism also urges the teachers to make the learners used their own mind by giving the problem solving situation, so that they will be learning more actively by using the material provided the society is interacting. So in the constructivism model, the students are urged to be actively involved in their learning process. Constructivist believes that assessment should be used as a tool to enhance both students' learning and the teacher's understanding of the students' understanding. It should not be used as an accountability tool that makes some students feel good about themselves and call others to give up, according to Jaina and Behera. So while making the students perform experiments, I asked them to try to do different things differently, and later I asked them the changes that took place and the reasons behind it. So according to their response, I correct them or appreciate them. Other than that, after checking their notebooks, I gave them feedback and suggestions if required, so they can improve the quality of their work. So in the modern teaching philosophies, they focused on child-centered instructions, which is also part of progressivism and constructivism. Students learn through discovering, so they do the stuff by themselves, and they need to know how they want to learn something. So we give them freedom in what they want to learn and how they want to learn. So as a teacher, what kind of artifacts I have selected, what is important for me. So in my opinion, for me, the most important things to be focused on are classroom management, change in educational philosophies. Of course, we are moving from traditional teacher-centered philosophies to the more child-centered, student-centered philosophies. We need to find different methods and apply them for the evaluation and assessments of our students. And lastly, incorporation of technology, as we already discussed. So first of all, let's have a look at classroom management. So if I talk about my classroom management style, I would say that the start of academic session, I'm mainly a behaviorist. So I clarify all the specific goals of the year. I explain to them the rules and regulations and what is being expected from them. For example, in the classroom, if the classroom is not clean, then a punishment, they will have to clean the classroom by themselves within a given time, and then I will start giving them the lessons, which I've done actually. A student that talks or disturbs the friend sitting next to them is made to sit alone as a punishment. But if she keeps silent while sitting alone, then after some time I make him or sit back on their seat as a positive reinforcement. So I use the approach of a behaviorist and essentialist because I believe that the student must learn the importance and value of the teacher. They should be aware that teacher plays a very important role in shaping them, and they will acquire their special guidance in doing so. According to Tucker, behaviorists encourage the use of implementing lesson plans as a tried and tested approach to accomplish learning objectives. I believe that the whole idea of lesson plan is based on behaviorist theory. According to Dubell in 2003, the behaviorism theory involves providing clear goals to students and inform them what is being expected from them at the end of the lesson or unit, which will help the teacher in managing the class actually. So at the end of the lesson, they are assessed by their classwork and or their homework. So the whole thing is related to changing the behavior of the learners at the end of the lesson. According to lesson plans, I make a section that says at the end of the lesson the students will be able to learn this and this. So after different readings that I've read by the material provided by the university, I came to assumption that there are different aspects of a good teacher. Mainly every student likes a calm, smiling, polite teacher. Some students hate the teacher because of the subject he or she teaches, but effective teacher is one who displays strong classroom management skills. That is the opinion of Cine also in 2017. A good teacher always have a good relationship with the students. The teacher does not enter the class to teach the syllabus, but to teach something new to the students, and in return learn something from them. Even if the students hate the subject, the teacher should be liked by them. A good teacher must be unpredictable in his or her behavior. She should not let them. A good teacher must be unpredictable. However, he should not let the students find his flaws or weakness. Instead, the teacher should come up with new ideas every time for predictable classroom problems. A classroom must be beautifully and professionally equipped according to the needs of the subjects, so that students may like coming to the class, and that also helps you manage the classroom. Disturbing material should be removed, and a proper classroom sitting arrangement must be planned. So sometimes, of course, there are wires in the classroom. There can be broken material in the classroom that should be removed. Sitting arrangement should be arranged time to time so that everyone will get a chance to know each other. A good teacher, whatsoever his or her educational background or experience is, in my opinion, must perfectly prepare for the lesson at least a day before. Students love a teacher that has a good amount of information about the topic, especially knowledge that is not in the book. In order to get interest of the students, a teacher should also give them knowledge about general topics that may not find by themselves. Teachers may separate at least 5 to 10 minutes for such activities. In my case, I have downloaded a bunch of interesting videos and keep them in my flash with me. And after teaching my topic, we watch interesting videos each day, and students really love it. So every classroom may acquire different type of techniques to teach, but in my opinion, the student center is always more favorable as to teacher centered. However, teacher must show their presence time to time by starting or involving the students in discussion about a certain topic of the subject. By this method, students will be more involved in learning and discussing the topic by comparing each other ideas. Now, I will not go through the detail regarding different types of education philosophies as I discussed them earlier, but I will tell what is important for me in this regard. So I explained before that I consider myself as a progressivist teacher who focuses on what the students want to learn, what style suits them the best. When I newly became a teacher, I used to follow the traditional method, giving formal exam to the students and congratulating them in the class. But later I found out that the students need to be motivated and rewarded based on their performance. This can be done before the formative assessment to motivate them for studying, and after the assessment for rewarding their achievement. So in these photographs of my students, you can see that I have took them for bowling. We had lunch. We had fun day in our school after exams. I played PlayStation with my students as a reward of getting good marks in their quiz. So we need to motivate the students to different methods, and that is what we need to shape them for student-centered learning. We need to tell them what they need to learn and how they need to learn, and once they learn them, we need to motivate them. We need to appreciate them in this very regard. Now we need to find different methods for the better assessment of our students. So usually we define it on the basis of assessment of learning, assessment for learning, assessment as learning, etc. So the assessment offers input on skills, competencies, behavior, and performance of the students. Later, these findings help improve future success and learning outcomes of the students. Evaluation defines the quality level of output or results and allow for decision making based on this demonstrational quality level. In evaluation, usually some sort of judgment of quality will be made, while the purpose of assessment is to improve the level of the students. So assessment as learning is not that much, as it is difficult to make the students understand their own mistakes without guidance, especially at the level I teach, because I teach students from grade 5 up to 8, and at that level they need guidance. I mean, yeah, till one level you can make them understand their own mistakes, but still they need proper guidance. So through summative or through diagnostic assessments, and of course through formative assessments, you can really shape their understanding. So formative assessment is an assessment for learning, and also if used properly can be used for assessment as learning. So the level of student is regularly checked so that amendments can be made in their teaching method, material, etc. So being a science teacher, I always try to use diagnostic assessment as the start of each new lesson or the topic. This helps me understand the background of the knowledge of the students related to the topic. I usually do it by discussion and brainstorming through asking questions and their opinion related to the topic under discussion. Formative assessment is also very useful to help understand what the students are learning during the lesson. I usually do it by asking the students to answer the questions from their book about the topic as classwork, and while they are solving it, I visit each one of them and check their and as try to assist them. This helps me understand their level. In the end, summative assessment is one that is used to evaluate the final level of the students at the end of the unit, and depending on the system at the end of semester or year. So I try to incorporate an alternative assessment in it, as it gives students a variety of questions and help them use their mind and thinking skills to answer questions. So the paper includes multiple choice questions along with filling the blanks, short question answers. I also ask them labeling diagrams and sometimes draw the diagrams to enhance their drawing and memory skills. In my case, the diagnostic assessment was assessment, while formative assessment used to change their assessment to evaluation depending on the course material and weekly work. But alternative and summative methods were used to evaluate the final performance of the students. I would say that I am somewhere between knowledge center and assessment center teacher in this very regard, as being a science teacher, performing experiments with students, making them perform experiments, give presentation, etc. So after these performances, I give them feedback accordingly. Depending on the situation, the feedbacks can be summative, diagnostic, or formative. The student-centered environment is mainly during the start of the session, when everyone is trying to get to know each other, and the teacher are also trying to get an idea of this classroom. So being a science teacher, if I was going to teach the topic of body parts, for example, for instance, to check the background of the students, I would use diagnostic assessment and formative assessment. Students can be asked the questions about the definition of the body parts, which body parts she knows about, the performance, the importance of the body parts, etc. That will help me understand the level of the students. It will give the knowledge of the needs of the students and what needs to be added along with the knowledge of the students already contained. The discussion will also act as a merger between the learner-centered environment and assessment-centered environment. The student will be given different tasks and will be treated according to his or her level. Later, to put that information deep into the minds of the students, I may use different activities or experiments like naming the parts of the body, drawing them, giving them presentation, and doing research on certain parts, etc., which will be done by levels students themselves in the end of the given slides. So if you look at these two slides, and these are my own exam papers. So if you look the first one, you can see like the part which is written with before. So you can see that I have asked normal short questions. There is no much variety observed, while the second exam is much more interactive, as I have given them images to look through and instructional language is a bit easier. The same can be observed here in my other exam. So I would say that the students themselves came to me and told me that the new exam type is very good and they enjoyed solving papers, whereas I did not ask them regular questions. Instead, I asked them questions where they have to answer using their imagination. So according to Brooks and Brooks in 1993, a constructivist teacher gives the chance to express his ideas and respect their identity. Teacher also asks open-ended questions so that each student can express his or own knowledge up to the known level. I also try to do the same thing. Students are given the chance to brainstorm topics, and we move from general to specific topic. In this way, students are also engaged in the lesson, and all the attention is towards the teacher. The teacher also lets the children explore their knowledge and information stored in their brain. So they are given independence to think and propose their viewpoint about the given situation. Other than the regular form of assessment, I also ask the students to perform different activities so that not only their writing skills but also their psychomotor skills can be developed. So here you can see my students making elastic car using pop sticks, rubber band, etc. So this was when we were discussing different type of energy, elastic energy. At the same time, they were discussing recycling topics like that. So in their feedback, they told me they really enjoyed the activity as they were stressed in comparison with written exam, and they also like the group work as it helps to bond with their friends. So here this one is activity done by our art department where chalk drawing competition was held in our school and students were awarded positions, awards along with the marks in their final report cards. So students came with different ideas of their own and gave us very wonderful designs. So last artifact to be discussed in this presentation is actually the most important topic in my opinion, which is the integration and incorporation of technology in education. So technology is one of the basic requirement of schools in this time, like students being younger than most of the teachers, and they spend more and more time with technology. And if teachers are not able to know these things, then there will be information and skills gap between the teachers and the students, where the students will be like some steps forward in comparison with the teacher, which will not be good in creating a good classroom environment. So indirectly it is also related with classroom management. Like if you know how to use this stuff, you can easily manage your classroom. So many students, including mine, have integrated different technology friendly aids in the classroom. In my school we have smart boards or active boards along with projectors and speakers. This not only helps the teacher to fill in the gap between the students, but also helps the teacher in many ways. The teacher can prepare presentation with images and videos, which will help the teacher effort in the classroom in regard of writing and explaining the topic again and again, and this will of course lead to better classroom management. Due to pandemic, almost everywhere around the world the exams were taken online, which were much easier for the teachers as they were automatically assessed by the teachers. You can put images and videos in the exams to help the students, provide them with better material. During the pandemic, as all around the world schools were closed, most of the educational institutions moved towards online education. So in the start, famous applications like Google Classroom and Zoom were used, but they both were difficult to manage as they were being collected were to be added to another system, and Zoom links were sent separately, which was confusing for the students. They used to mix up the passwords, mix up the links. So in the end, as a school, we bought another software known as Educ, which acts as an online lesson function. Marking was there. It was easy to send the students messages, notifications, homeworks. So the purpose of explaining the stuff is that how one system can help us in easily managing the school, which is great thing about technology. You can check the academic situation of each student by just opening their profile, and then steps can be taken to improve the students. So in this regard, integration of technology is very important. It can help reduce the teacher efforts. It can help us understand the level of the students, because of different type of information that can be made online, that can be made during technology. At the same time, the students are more interacted in this very way. They can learn when they go home, because we send most of our worksheets, we send most of our lessons through online meetings, and when they go home they can easily assess those things instead of just looking at their notebook what teacher taught in the classroom. They can easily see different images, they can watch different videos, etc. And that is the importance of technology in this very way. It helps us to keep the students active as possible, so that of course due to the gap that was created due to the pandemic, due to the closing of the schools, that gap can be filled as effectively as possible. So my overall experience during the journey of this 1.5 of 2 years with doing the master program was smooth and enjoyable, but of course there were times where I faced difficulties, mainly because I'm not that much experienced teacher. I graduated in 2018 actually, and I graduated from Turkey, so the language I learned was different from my own mother tongue or from a second language, which was English. I started working the same year, which was good, but still you need to see more people and do more work to learn more. So some of the challenges I faced were, one, of course, lack of experience. I don't have many students or much stuff to go through when writing the portfolio. Then to connect the information together and adding accurate scholarly references to them was also tiresome. But thanks to the online library of University of the People, I got most of the relevant articles I was looking for. I had challenges in finding the work of my students as the COVID pandemic started during the second year of my teaching, and we moved to Google Classroom and then Zoom, and as all most of the things were done in as an immediate action, in order to support the students, we didn't have a proper archive to store that stuff. So I had to go through the notebooks and textbooks of many of my students to get what I exactly wanted, and then of course writing the stuff, collecting the stuff was done in the end. Lastly, there are many places where I can and I will be using this portfolio. So in the past 1.5 years, I have learned a great deal regarding creation of positive classroom environment, learning theories, psychological and physical development of students, barriers in learning, educating students with needs, and much more. In the last course, I learned about the importance of technology in education and how it can be integrated in the current system. So I learned about methods to persuade the parents and school overall in accepting the fact that technology is indeed important in this regard. My approach towards the students is and will be progressivist and student centered. So whatever they want to learn, how they want to learn will be given importance. I try to ask them during my lessons after the exams. I usually ask them how was the exams or what could have been good for you. Of course, they not everything they tell I apply, because of course they think about, some of the students they think about what is easy for them, or they try to manipulate the teacher. But of course, if the comments are good, I try to work on those comments. So I try search more teaching techniques and methods to help achieve their confidence and teach them in a much better manner. Of course, all these things along with the assessment, like finding different types of methods of assessment that I learned in given courses, have already been proved very much fruitful for me. The performance of the students have been improved, and all these things directly or indirectly, and when we combine together, help you to better manage your classrooms. As classrooms are becoming more diverse, we need to make them more inclusive, and we need to make the students busy in a positive way. So with the help of using good amount of technology, with the help of using different student centered techniques, methods of assessment, we can better manage the classroom, and and that's our main purpose actually, classroom management. If a teacher can easily manage his or her classroom with of course creating positive atmosphere, and that's the best things the students need to learn. And yes, that was my presentation, and thank you for all.